ಫ್ರೈ ಐಟಮ್ಸು, ಡ್ರೈ ಐಟಮ್ಸು, ಗ್ರೇವಿ ಐಟಮ್ಸು.
ಹಾಂ, ಓ
30 ಐಟಮ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರುಚಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ನೀಟ್ನೆಸ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಫೈ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ವೀಟ್ ಚಪಾತಿ ಮನೆ ಚಪಾತಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಮೀಟ್ ಸಾರೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಚಪಾತಿದು ಒಂದು ಆನಂದವೇ ಬೇರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸಸ್. ಲೋಕಲ್ ನಾಟಿ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಹೌದು, ಬಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದ ಕಾಚಂಪುಳಿ ವಿಚ್ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ Kodava guest appearance. I love that gashi, and that's sort of gashi that you can scoop rather easily along with some meat in the folds of your akki roti. Chandrappa Hotel. Namaskara. Are you the owners? My brother.
Your brother. Nice to meet you. What's your name? Danush. So Mr. Chandrappa, your father. So we are here at Chandrappa Hotel in Mathikere. I've heard a lot about it, but somehow I've never had the opportunity to come this side. But today I thought I should check why Chandrappa Hotel is so famous. Why is it so famous?
Because of pork items and mutton items.
Pork items and mutton items. ಎಷ್ಟು 40 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತಾ?
46 years, 46 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತು.
46 years. What are the special dishes?
ಫ್ರೈ ಐಟಮ್ಸು, ಡ್ರೈ ಐಟಮ್ಸು, ಗ್ರೇವಿ ಐಟಮ್ಸು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪೋರ್ಕ್ ಕಬಾಬು. 30 ಐಟಮ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಓ ಫ್ಯಾಂಟಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದು ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಯಾರು ನಿಮ್ಮದು ತಂದೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು?
ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆಯವರು ಬಂದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಮತ್ತಿಕೆರೆಗೆ ಬಂದು ಮತ್ತಿಕೆರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದೂ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಫಸ್ಟ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆಯವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ವೆಜ್ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ವೆಜ್ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನ್ ವೆಜ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ನಾನ್ ವೆಜ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಯಿತು.
So I think when he began with a safe option. Veg start ಮಾಡೋಣ ಜನರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಮೆತ್ತಗೆ ನಾನ್ ವೆಜ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿರಿಯಾನಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಪೋರ್ಕ್ ಐಟಮ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಯಿತು?
ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂದನೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Fantastic, because there are not too many places where you can go and relish good pork. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ನೈಸ್ ಟು ಮೀಟ್ ಯು. ರಾಜಶೇಖರ್ ಅವರು. ಓ ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಮ್ಮ?
ಹೌದು ಸರ್, ಬ್ರದರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ.
ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್.
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಸೊ ಯುವರ್ ನೇಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೋಹಿತ್.
ಮೈ ನೇಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೋಹಿತ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರುಚಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ನೀಟ್ನೆಸ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಫೈ ಆಗಬೇಕು.
ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ವೆನೆವರ್ ಅ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ಸ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಎಂಟರ್ ದ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್.
ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಭಾಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ನೀಟ್ನೆಸ್ಸು, ನಂತರ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ, ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ, ರೀಸನಬಲ್ ರೈಟ್, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಭಾಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ಗೆ.
ಫ್ಯಾಂಟಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನನಗೆ ಪರಿಮಳ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಕಿಚನ್ ಇಂದ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ನಾಟಿ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ಗೋ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಕಿಚನ್. ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ?
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ಗೋ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಕಿಚನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಅ ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ಕುಕಿಂಗ್ ಔಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್ at Chandrappa Hotel in Mathikere. ಚಪಾತಿ ಫೇಮಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ.
ವೀಟ್ ಚಪಾತಿ ಮನೆ
ಚಪಾತಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಮೀಟ್ ಸಾರೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಚಪಾತಿದು ಒಂದು ಆನಂದವೇ ಬೇರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ.
ಇವರು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 33 years ಇಂದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
33 years ಇಂದ ಚಪಾತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. This is an eatery that goes back 46 years, so I'm sure many of the people who work here also have a history of being with the eatery for a very long time. And this chapati master, ನಿಮ್ದು ಹೆಸರೇನು ಸರ್? Mr. Rajashekar. Mr. Rajashekar has been making the chapatis here for the last 30 plus years.
Yes sir, 33 years ಇಂದ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
33 years ಇಂದ. Fantastic. Chicken dum biryani. Green masala wa?
Yes.
I can smell some of the aroma. I can smell some of the coriander. ಎಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಸೂರಿ ಮೇಥಿ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ ಎಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ? ತುಪ್ಪ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ.
ಇವರು ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ರದರ್ ಸರ್, ಓಂ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅಂತ.
ಓ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಕಿಚನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ?
ಹೌದು ಸರ್, ಕಿಚನ್ ಇನ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಇವರು.
ಫ್ಯಾಂಟಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ಸೊ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬ್ರದರ್ಸ್ ಹೊರಗೆ ಶಾಪಿಂಗ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಿಚನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಲುಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಬೈ ದ ವೇ ಹಿ ಇಸ್ ಅಟೈರ್ಡ್, ಇಟ್ ಲುಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಹಿ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕಿಚನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ. ಫ್ಯಾಂಟಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ಸೊ ಏನೇನು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್, ತೋರಿಸಿ ನಮಗೆ.
ಇದು ಗಾರ್ಲಿಕ್ ಚಿಕನ್ ಮಸಾಲಾ ಸರ್.
ಗಾರ್ಲಿಕ್
ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಒರಿಜಿನಲ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಡೋದು.
ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡಿ ರೆಡಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
ಹೌದು.
ಬರೀ ದೆನ್ ದೇ ಕೀಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಹಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ದೀಸ್ ಬೇನ್ ಮೇರೀಸ್.
ಹೌದು. ಇದು ಗುಂಟೂರು ಚಿಕನ್ ಮಸಾಲ.
ಗುಂಟೂರು ಚಿಕನ್ ಮಸಾಲ.
2 ಅವರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಒಂದೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಕೈಮಾ ಕರಿ ಸರ್.
ಕೈಮಾ ಉಂಡೆ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ಸೊ ಇದು ಕೈಮಾ ಉಂಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಡಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ? ಮೊಟ್ಟೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ, ಹಿಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ?
ಹಿಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ?
ಕಡಲೆ ಪಪ್ಪು, ಕೊಬ್ಬರಿ,
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೊಟ್ಟೆ ಸಹ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ?
ಮೊಟ್ಟೆ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಮೊಟ್ಟೆ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ.
ಅದು ಬರೀ ಅದು ಮೀಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೀಟ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚರ್ಬಿ
ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರ್ತಿದೆ. ಮೀಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರ್ತಿದೆ. ಇದು ಪೋರ್ಕ್ ಕರಿ.
pork curry. I can see those lovely pieces of pork fat.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೋನ್ಲೆಸ್ ಸರ್.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೋನ್ಲೆಸ್. ಲವ್ಲಿ. ಬೇರೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಸರ್?
ಸರ್ ಮಟನ್ ಚಾಪ್ಸು.
ಓ,
ಮಟನ್ ಕರಿ.
ಮಟನ್ ಕರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪೀಸ್ ಚಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪೀಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್.
ಹೌದು. ಇದು ಗ್ರೀನಿಶ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ.
ಗ್ರೀನಿಶ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಗ್ರೇವಿ.
ಇದು ಲೈಟ್ ಬ್ರೌನಿಶ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದು ಮಟನ್ ಕುರ್ಮಾ.
ಮೆಣಸಿನಕಾಯಿ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಂಪು ಮೆಣಸಿನಕಾಯಿ ಕಲರ್ ಪೆಪ್ಪರ್ ಇಂದ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೀನ್.
ಹೌದು. ಕೊರಿಯಾಂಡರ್, ಪಾಲಕು ಮತ್ತೆ ಪೆಪ್ಪರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ.
ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಚಿಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. What I like here is that the curries that I'm seeing are very home style in their appearance. ಇದು ಮನೆದು ರೆಸಿಪಿ ತರ ಇದೆ.
ಮನೆಯದೇ 100% ಹೋಮ್ಲಿ ಫುಡ್.
ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ದು ತಂದೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಸಹ ಕುಕಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ.
ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ
ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಸೇರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ, ಶಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ
ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ದೇ. ಇವತ್ತು ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಅವತ್ತಿಂದ ಏನಿದೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಅದೇ ಫೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೀವಿ. ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಪೆಪ್ಪರ್ ಪೋರ್ಕ್ ಫ್ರೈ ಸರ್.
ಪೆಪ್ಪರ್ ಪೋರ್ಕ್ ಫ್ರೈ. ಓಕೆ.
ಇದು ಮಟನ್ ಲಿವರ್ ಸರ್.
ಓ, ಕುರಿದು ಚಿಕನ್ ಫ್ರೈ.
ಪೆಪ್ಪರ್ ಚಿಕನ್ ಫ್ರೈ ಸರ್. ರಾಗಿ ಮುದ್ದೆ ಸರ್. ಇದು ನಮ್ದು ಲಿಮಿಟ್. ನಮ್ದು ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ಖಾಲಿ ಆಯ್ತು ಖಾಲಿ ಆಯ್ತು. ಬೆಣ್ಣೆ.
ಸೊ ಅದು ಜೋಡಿಸುವಾಗ ಬೆಣ್ಣೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ.
ಹೌದು.
ಬೆಣ್ಣೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಆಗಲ್ಲ.
So you can be downstairs if you want a really quick meal, and I'm told they have a family section upstairs, which is where families come and eat, I suppose.
I was wondering why you are not here still.
I've come late here. So people tell me you come late. I said there's so many good places. I will always be late. There are so many of these places that are doing such exceptional work that one kripal is not enough to cover all of these and do justice. And therefore I always tell people I will always be late at all these legendary places, and Chandrappa Hotel is one such instance too. If you love your non-vegetarian oota, this is the sort of place for you. Although I've heard that they also do a very special rasam that they sell by the liter. If I have to order 2 pork dishes, what would that be?
Fry, pepper pork fry is good.
Okay.
And you can try garlic pork fry. It's also good.
And then in the mutton, what should we taste? The keema I want to taste, keema gravy, because that will also be good with the chapati.
Mutton chops, guntur chicken.
Guntur chicken. Oh, you have akki roti also, the soft akki roti. I think I'm going to taste the akki roti, because that's something that I typically don't get.
I like to recommend mutton biryani.
Mutton biryani, so we'll do that. I don't know when I will come to Chandrappa Hotel next, so we'll do a brain dry as well. Garlic pork dry.
Pepper pork fry.
Pepper pork fry.
This mutton chops fry.
Mutton chops fry.
Pepper brain dry.
Pepper brain dry. Gravies to have arrived. Oh, ragi mudde kuda tandra. Okay.
Ragi mudde.
Akki roti tarta idira.
Kaima masala.
Kaima masale.
Guntur chicken gravy.
Guntur chicken gravy. So as you can see, we have a full table here at Chandrappa Hotel. Of course, everything is meaty, barring this rasam, which I am also told is quite popular. I can certainly smell the garlic. Plenty of garlic that I can smell in that, and I can also smell the slight tart aroma of the hunse and of the tamarind. I can feel the warmth of that rasam
as it slithers down my throat. The Bengaluru weather is slightly nippy these days. I think this rasam is just suited to that sort of climate. Now that we've lined our tummy with the rasam, let's explore the other dishes that we have on the table. So this is a brain pepper dry, which I'm told is also very popular. This is the mutton fry, again a popular dish. And we have a couple of pork dishes. This is a pork pepper fry, and then we also have a garlic pork dry, and then some gravies, kaima ball curry, and then also the guntur chicken. And in terms of staples, well, we have some akki roti, which I'm really looking forward to tasting with that curry. Also some ragi mudde. And the speciality of the ragi mudde here is that when they roll it, when they make a dumpling of it, they use some benne. And I'm told that's what makes it soft and also ensures that this ragi mudde doesn't harden on the surface. And then of course we have a biryani here. I think there's a lot of green masala that goes into that biryani. This is a mutton biryani. The question that's on my mind though, where do I begin? I think I'll make a beginning with that brain pepper fry. I'm going to go for a piece which is coated with all that masala, with all that curry leaf, and maybe taste it with some akki roti. I love the toasty aroma of that akki roti, especially around the edges and the slightly toasted speckles that you can see there. Akki roti bisi idre, you can just eat it just by itself. Maybe a little bit of butter, a little bit of ghee, or a chutney even. But we have the luxurious decadence of some brain pepper dry. Oh, I love the texture of the bheja, mousse-like, and the flavors. I can taste the flavor of the curry leaf. I can also taste tons of the pepper that's gone into it. Sometimes you're worried about things like brain, etc., tasting a little gamey, but this doesn't taste any of that. This basically delivers a spicy, flavor-laden punch to your palate. There's plenty of the pepper that I can taste in it. Perhaps also some green chili that goes into it, I'm not sure. But the spiciness of that brain pepper fry is simply at a different level. Let's taste now some of that garlic pork dry. So of course when it comes to pork meat, pork lovers will tell you that when you eat the meat, you also have to make sure there's a considerable amount of fat that's hanging onto the meat, and that's really when you can taste the full flavor of the pork. To be honest, I'm a little apprehensive when it comes to tasting pork outside, but the moment they told me that they procure their meat from a very reputable meat vendor out here in Bengaluru, I said I must definitely taste at least a couple of dishes. So without any further ado, let's taste that garlic dry. I've gone for a piece where there's plenty of meat and yet a bit of the fat that's clinging to it. The meat has a bit of a bite. You also are biting through a bit of the fat, but the flavor of that garlic has penetrated all the way into that piece of meat. And what's also nice here is that there are slivers of the garlic.
Garlic ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಪೋನ್ ಗಾರ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕುಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಪೆಪ್ಪರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪೆಪ್ಪರ್ ತೋರ್ಗೆ ಕುಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
ಬರೀ ಟಾಸಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಗಾರ್ಲಿಕ್ ಫ್ಲೇವರ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಇದೆ. So what's also nice here is that when you ask for a particular dish, that dish is cooked in that manner from scratch. In some cases they would probably cook a meat curry and then saute it with some garlic, with some curry leaves, chilies, etc., and some of the jeerige pudi, coriander powder, etc., to make that. But out here they cook that dish as a garlic dry from scratch, and I think that's what ensures that the flavors of the masala have penetrated all the way into the meat. When you taste the meat just by itself, it's a lot more yielding to the bite. And to be honest with you, I am not too much of a pork fat sort of a person. I prefer the meat. Because sometimes the fat can tug a bit on the bite. Moving next to another popular dish here, which is the pork pepper fry. I'm cheating a bit here. I'm going for pieces that have more of the meat. And when you look at pork preparations, you will find a bit of the oiliness. That's the oiliness that comes from not just the cooking medium, but also from the fat that renders into that masala, that renders into that curry slowly, gently as it's being cooked. The masala is moist, almost mollycoddling the meat in its flavorful wet embrace. And here I can also taste a bit of probably some of the green ingredients that go into it. Perhaps some coriander somewhere there. There's also a hint of tartness that I get. Idhar ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ vinegar ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ cooking ಮಾಡುವಾಗ? Kachampuli. You know, I could taste that tartness. And when it comes to typically making a pork preparation, you either use vinegar or, of course, we are in Karnataka. So the preferred medium for that would be the kachampuli, and that's what they've used in that. And what the kachampuli does also is that its acidity is a little restrained. There's almost a hint of sweetness in that acidity, and that kachampuli also does well to darken the color of that preparation, which is what's happened in this case. So I think this is a combination of influences, local naati style haudu, but also the kachampuli, which makes its Kodawa guest appearance in this pork pepper masala. I love that gashi, and that's sort of gashi that you can scoop rather easily along with some meat, in this case the fat, in the folds of your akki roti. In the other preparation, I could feel a bit of the tug of the fat, but out here, bari onsati kachi, just bite into that fat once, amale bidi. It'll slowly work its way to coat your palate. Oh, that's delicious. Of the dishes that I've tasted thus far, definitely the brain pepper dry is a must-have, and also that pork pepper fry. The garlic too was nice, but when you come here, you will not order half a dozen dishes. You'll probably order 1 or 2 or 3. So I am trying them all out to recommend to you what you should savor when here at Chandrappa Hotel in Mathikere. Having tasted a couple of spicy pepper preparations, that pepper is not letting go of my tongue. So I think what we will do is, for a slight change in flavor, taste some of that guntur chicken. I think there's probably some byadgi mensankai that goes into that masala along with some onions. I can definitely taste the flavor of the garam masala in that. Perhaps also some kasuri methi. The meat is nice and soft. So when they told me that they cook every preparation from scratch, a good test of that is when you find the flavor of that masala has penetrated all the way into the meat. Chicken by itself has really not too much to offer by way of flavor. Therefore, it calls for the assistance of the ingredients, the spices, the herbs that go into that curry. And out here, it has seeped all the way to the bone. That akki roti makes it a great companion to that curry. And I think out here the base for this is definitely the onions, and you can taste the savory flavors of the onions in that. ನನಗೆ ಆ ಥರ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ದಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಹೋಟೆಲ್. ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಾನು ಇವರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಮನೆ ಊಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಸಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಒನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್. ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಫೀಲ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಈಟಿಂಗ್. ಐ ಫೀಲ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದ ಬ್ರದರ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇನ್ವೈಟೆಡ್ ಮೀ, ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕುತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿ, ಆ ಥರ ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ದ ವೇ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್. I think we should say hello to that kaima curry. And this we're going to taste with some of that ragi mudde. That mudde is soft. I barely held it and my fingers have already left an impression on that mudde. Incorporate it nicely with that saru. This saru has a slightly greenish brown tint, so I'm sure there's plenty of the coriander, etc. that's gone into it. I can definitely taste some of the dry coriander in that preparation. What I'm definitely tasting more of here is the texture of the meat and perhaps a bit of the sinew or the fat that goes in to bind that kaima into a dumpling. There isn't too much of the floury sort of a texture that you would taste sometimes if the kadle hittu or the gram flour that is typically used to bind it is a little more. Out here, you're tasting more the texture of the meat. I think when it comes to any mutton saru, the ragi mudde is a sort that makes for the perfect companion. The only gripe that I have when I'm tasting a meaty preparation with the ragi mudde is that when you're tasting the ragi mudde, you're swallowing it. So you're swallowing it with the gravy and all the flavors that have soaked into the gravy. So you can't really taste it with the meat because quite obviously you cannot swallow the meat. Time to taste it now with some of that akki roti. So in the case of the mince, I definitely felt that you had to enlist quite liberally the assistance of the curry to lend it a little more flavor. Unlike the other preparations that I've tasted, which are full on laden, almost explosive in the spice that they convey to your palate, this one was a little demure. Let's make our way to that chop, which I'm sure has plenty of pepper along with the other spices in that masala. I love the slight roasted sweetness of the onion in that thick gravy, almost as if in a counterpoint to the pointed, piercing spiciness of the pepper. In fact, that sweetness is the sort that makes that gushy approachable. I think when it comes to age-old recipes, it's always about cooks trying to find the perfect balance. Yes, they want the pepper to make an impression on your palate, but for your palate to make friends with the pepper, well, that's where they've enlisted the assistance of that onion that's probably roasted right at the outset with some of the fragrant spices. And that's what makes that masala rather special. Let's taste some of the meat. The meat is the sort that peels rather gently from the bone. You know, because I tasted the chicken, the pork and the brain first, those are proteins that quite easily absorb the flavor of the masala. But when it comes to the mutton, because the meat is strong in itself, in its texture and its flavor, the masala has to make a bit of an effort to work its magic, its flavors all the way in. And that's way, as a diner, you can play a role by mixing that meat quite liberally, quite generously with that masala, because I don't want to let go of any of the flavors that I'm getting from the onion, the pepper and the other spices that have gone into that gushy. Found a little piece of the beja on my plate that I don't want to let go of. Always listen to regulars. The chap that I met earlier, he said try the brain for sure. It'll reward you. And it certainly has. Next, let's say hello to that biryani. There's a piece of meat that has readily stumbled onto my plate, as if saying, taste me also. When I'm tasting the biryani, I want to make sure that I taste that rice all by itself, minus any of the flavors that you see on my plate. So this is a short grain rice that they use here, which is a siraga samba. And it's quite gentle in its flavors. I can taste the flavor of some of the aromatic spices that have gone into it. I could certainly taste a bit of the cinnamon. I can taste a bit of the cardamom too, that perhaps goes whole to flavor the oil. I also noticed when I walked in, people savoring the biryani rice or the kushka all by itself with one or two of the other meaty sides. And I think the flavors of this rice serve that purpose rather well. It is flavored adequately enough so that you don't really miss the meat in that biryani, and also the sort that will combine well with any of the things that we've tasted, from the gravies to the fries. Let's now taste some of that meat. I can taste a bit of the edge of ginger garlic in there. But there's not too much masala. Jasti masala illa idhar. You're tasting beyond those ingredients the flavor of the meat. And the meat is cooked in a manner that it has enough of a bite to allow you to savor it with that rice. And if you want a little more of the kick of the masala, well, you can introduce it to some of the sides, like I have to that mutton pepper fry in this case. Definitely want a little more of that anna with some of that fry masala and that juicy piece of meat. Trupti, happiness, contentment. That's my state of mind. Even as I wrap up the shoot here at Chandrappa Hotel in Mathikere, this definitely doesn't feel like I've eaten in a commercial eatery. Like I said earlier, I feel like I'm sitting in their home and they've cooked this beautiful meal for me. I've enjoyed all the dishes that I've tasted. I think there's a lot of care that goes into the preparation, be it in terms of the sourcing of the ingredients, the sourcing of the meats from the right places, done personally by the brothers, and also the manner in which it is cooked. You won't find any jhatka preparations here. When they talk about a garlic dry, well, that's a garlic dry from scratch. When you talk about a mutton kaima curry, that's a kaima curry from scratch. And I think that also shows in the manner in which you will find the flavors of the spices so deep within the protein. I certainly have enjoyed my meal here in Mathikere. If you like your meaty non-veg oota, definitely find your way here to Chandrappa Hotel, an eatery that's been serving its patrons faithfully for the last 46 years. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Gourmet on the Road. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, stay strong, and happy eating. If you'd like to support the work that we do at Food Lovers TV, do consider joining our membership community on YouTube by hitting the join button below or on the home page. You could pledge a nominal sum and receive special privileges like behind the scenes footage, shoot updates, access to live Q&As, and a lot more. You could support us on a Patreon page as well. For more info, check out the links in the description below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment below. Happy eating.